Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours of the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got one headline about tariffs. It's about some companies that decided they're going to try to sue Donald Trump over tariffs. So we'll kind of have to follow this venture and see where it leads us. But I think for now, I think they're going to hit a stone wall because they're trying to say tariffs are illegal. So we'll see. At my heart, I agree with them. Tariffs are, a little bit against the American thesis. But we'll just kind of have to see if they can get it done in the courts. So let's dive on in and get you prepped for some success today. I got that stock heat map pulled up like always, and we're seeing a little bit of some mixed data this morning. We do have Apple sitting up 0.44% from its close on Friday, sitting up 0.22 in the pre-market right now. We've got Nvidia sitting up a whopping 4.3% from its close, sitting down in the pre-market right now, down at 0.95. We've got Berkshire Hathaway down at 0.13, and the pre-market seeing some light buying pressure up 0.24. We've got Amazon up 1.31, seeing some light buying pressure this morning, up 0.34. We've got Eli Lilly up 2.89 off of its close. Also seeing some selling pressure this morning, down 1.21. We got ExxonMobil down 0.06 from its close, sitting down 0.4 this morning. We've got Tesla up 9.8%, looking also very green in the pre-market so far, up 2.27. We got P&G sitting up 0.93 off of its close, looking up in the pre-market with some light buying pressure, up 0.27. We've got Microsoft up 1.17. It's been waffling back and forth from some selling pressure to some buying pressure. Staying in that nice median range, though, was down 0.05% before I started the show, sitting up 0.02% right now. We've got Google sitting up 1.47 from its close. Was sitting in the red in the pre-market before my show started, sitting up 0.14% right now. We've got Meta sitting up 2.65 off of its close. In the pre-market, seeing some decent buying pressure, up 1.05. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things because we're seeing some decent green here on the daily, that hourly, and SWI just continuing to rip. We will definitely be taking a look at that chart. We've got Bitcoin up 0.06 on the daily. Ethereum kind of seeing that selling pressure we were talking about, got up to some key levels that we haven't been at in quite a while for Ethereum. And now it's looking at some downside, down 0.1. We've got XRP up a whopping 7.3%, BNB up 0.9. We've got Solana up 2%. We've got Dogecoin sitting in the red right now, down 0.4. We've got Cardano up 2.9. Tron also sitting in the red, down 1.1. We've got SWI up 3.8%, looking quite nice on the hourly. We've got Chainlink up 2.6%. Avalanche down 0.9%. We've got Stellar Lumens up 1.4. TON sitting up 0.9. We've got HBAR up 3.7. We've got Leo token losing some spots on that top 20, sitting with 0% change on the daily. We've got Shiba Inu also losing some spots in that top 20, down one position from 17 to 18, as TON and HBAR took 15 and 16. We've got Bitcoin Cash with no change on the board on the daily or the hourly. And to wrap out the top 20 with Litecoin, we've got it up 0.7% on the daily. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds, because it looks like we're still sitting in fear on the stock side, but it's making its way back up to that neutral range. I did say I wanted to see extreme fear and then the market to kind of get some surety and see its way back up to neutral. And that's finally where we're starting to head, back up towards that neutral range, especially with how there's been that 90-day tariff pause. There's been a lot of negotiations happening. You saw a trade deal with India being cemented last week. All of these things gives the market some surety on the TradFi side of things. And we'll kind of have to see if those negotiations continue to play out and we make more trade deals that kind of pulls us away from our China dependency, which is a big thing going forward, and will kind of breathe some money back into the markets. We've got the crypto side of things sitting at neutral again, down 7 points to 54 and neutral. After we kind of stalled out just a little bit, we are getting a bit of a move to the upside. And I think if we're going to get a move to the upside this week, Monday is the day to make it happen. We'll kind of have to dive on into that when we get to that economic calendar, because we do have a lot going on this week. For our liquidations on that 24-hour, we've got a bit of a hot spot directly to the top side of us at 95,500. We'll kind of have to see if we go up and grab that. The 3-day also has some liquidity to the top side, sitting right at that same area, 95,800. So a little bit higher than that 1 day. We did sweep all of that bottom side liquidity in the move this weekend. Got that 1 week with some liquidity to the top side as well, sitting at 95,800. So a lot of these time frames are sitting with that top side liquidity. A very easy move to go up and grab and then see where the data really sends us. My preference is kind of to the downside. We are forecasted to see a lot of contracting in the economy. We do have the 2 week looking quite similar to that 1 week. If it would load, there we go. There's that nice little light hot spot up at about 96. And then you're starting to see this bottom side liquidity starting to kind of pile up here. You've got some at 83,000. There's about $100 million down there. So we'll kind of have to see after we sweep this top side liquidity if we make a lower low. We potentially have made an equal high with a high we made on the way down, and we'll kind of have to see if we sweep and make a higher low, which might lead us to kind of move a little sideways before trying to make a higher high. Taking a look at that 3 month, we kind of see there's a bunch of liquidity to the top side and the bottom side. I do have this level marked out. There's one at 100,000 and we've got one at 106, which is a key resistance area at the top that I have marked out. We've got this liquidity still down here on the bottom side at about $64,000. Let's hop over to that economic calendar. We do have a lot going on this week. Nothing too heavy for America on Monday. We just have that Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. Probably going to be another slowdown on that. Well, you might see that bit of an increase there to front run the tariffs, but nothing to get us out of the negatives, because we're sitting at negative 16.3 on that. You might get up to the close to zero, but it's still probably going to be sitting in the negatives considering how much of a slowdown we've seen on manufacturing. I do think that's a bit of a market mover to the upside, but not an overwhelming market sustaining move to the upside considering the rest of the data we see this week. We do have some data coming out of the European Union as well. Economic sentiment looking at a bit of a slowdown there for Tuesday morning. And as we get into the Tuesday day, 8:30, we will be seeing goods trade balance, retail inventories, excluding auto, month over month, and wholesale inventories as well. Looking like a bit of a increase there. Not too unexpected, considering a lot of that would have been front-running tariffs, the same way that we saw with manufacturing last week. We do have the S&P Case Shiller home prices month over month, looking at a slight increase on the year over year. I will be keeping my eye on that month over month. Looking at another decrease there. That's just my two cents, especially since we've been seeing a giant decrease in the housing market. Not an amazing time to buy a house. We also have JOLTS jobs opening tomorrow. That will be a big market mover for Tuesday. Scrolling down, getting into the rest of the week, we do have a lot of heavy data this week. We will be seeing some GDP data coming out of Europe. We will have some for France in the morning. That was up here. Scroll it on down. We get some out of Germany as well. That will be something I'll be watching because those German bonds have been going quite crazy after they decided they were going to be investing a lot of money into their defense spending. So I've been keeping my eye on that. We also get GDP growth rate out of the European Union as well. Something to keep your eye on for that Wednesday morning. And for Wednesday out of the US, we get that 30-year mortgage rate. Scroll down just a little bit. We also get core PCE prices, employment cost benefits quarter over quarter, and GDP growth rate quarter over quarter. Wednesday will be a massive market moving day. We have looking like a giant decrease on that GDP growth rate from a 2.4% to 0.4%. You're talking about a 2% decrease in growth rate, a massive contraction there. Keep your eye on Wednesday's price movements. We'll dive into the rest of that data a little bit later this week. Let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart and say good morning to the people. I see Jesse Gulak here first, saying good morning, BC, and good morning to everyone. Hope you had a great weekend, Jesse. We got Crypto Billy in the chat. Drop those Billy Goat Tails emojis if you got them. I see, let's see, scrolling on down, Jay Quick Smoker in the chat. Good evening from Australia. Hope you had a great day. We got Crypto Billy saying, BC pulls me out of bed early to catch his show. Well, I pull myself out of bed early to do my show, so I'm glad you're here catching it live. I know it's been a bit of a problem. There's definitely a lot of lurkers. I see there's like 10 people lurking because there's 5 people that have been chatting. So yeah, we got a few lurkers in here this morning. I can't blame them. It's extra early. So I see Tao. Tao's been good. We'll take a look at Tao. Let me get Sui added on that list as well. That's been a massive mover. We got Rashad in here. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day so far. And let's dive into this Bitcoin chart. We do see this daily getting a little bit of rollover here on the prime oscillator as we saw a reversal signal flash. The prime oscillator went to red here, but we've got our money flow looking to try to cross into the positive. We'll kind of have to see on our shorter term time frames if that money flow remains green and really starts bleeding into this daily. We are at a crucial point here. We've got this 236 as some strong resistance at 95, about 900 there. That's going to be an area I will be watching for today. We did see us come up to it last week and saw some resistance on that. So this 382 is going to be this 236 is going to be a key level to get above. If we can get above it, we would have to watch to see if we can turn that into some support. This whole area, it has been a bit of some resistance, and it was resistance on the way down. We would need to kind of turn that into some support here to maintain some bullishness, especially with all of the data we will be seeing coming out this week. That would be a bit of a market mover to the downside, and getting above some key levels that we could potentially hold would be something nice to see. Would give us a little bit less of a drag down. I still have my eyes on 88,000. That is the midpoint of this range, and was a key resistance area from the move that we rejected on the downside move. So to come back down to 88,000, the midpoint of this range, and really turn that into some support would be something nice to watch for. It would give us our first higher low. We do have this 4 hour looking quite nice with some curvature here on our MACD and some curvature on our prime oscillator as well. We do have a bit of a bearish divergence that is stacked up here, and we did see a peak seeker from back here, so we'll kind of have to see as we approach the 236 all over again if that ends up being a resistance area, or if this money flow, which is quite crazy on this 4 hour, really pushes us up higher. We do see our volume slowing down just a bit here, seeing some selling volume starting to step in, and we'll see if it maintains as some light red here, and the money flow kind of pushes us back into some positive volume. Looking like we've saw a little bit of a slow up on the weekend, which, is never too unexpected. When we see that light volume on the weekends, you do get some crazy price movements, but it's nothing too drastic. It's mainly just been some sideways momentum this weekend. We'll kind of have to see what kind of volume and money flow we get coming in this morning, with this being the best day you could really push the markets to the upside, especially with the rest of the week's data. You do have this 1 hour getting a little bit of some curvature here on the prime oscillator, but it is sitting green as it's getting that curvature, as your money flow just broke into some buying pressure and your volume is starting to pick up here. So looking for a little bit of some continued sideways momentum in the morning before we really make a decision of if we go to the upside, grab this top side liquidity that is sitting right here at that 236, and then make a decision either way. You might see that last little leg up to sweep some of this that is sitting right below 100,000 before we really come back down. We do have that 15-minute and the morning looking like you might see that little bit of a cool off before you get that continuation to the upside here. Your money flow is sitting in the red here, your true sevens in the red as well, waiting for that clip out as that MACD line has crossed our indicator line and we start to print our first red candles on our histogram. Your volume is overwhelmingly positive here. So looking for that increase of volume this morning. Wait for that selling to kind of make its way here this morning. See that bit of a cool off. Probably come back down to VWAP here, sitting at about 94,000 before we make that continued move to the upside. Any other alt requests? Any alt request anyone has, go ahead and drop it in the chat. for me. I've got Tau and Sweet on my list of alts to kind of take a look at this morning. I will dive into this news article, and then we'll take a look at gold, because gold saw some cool off from last week, but it did maintain one of the key levels that I talked about last week. So we'll kind of dive into that, and then dive into some of those alts. This is a news article I had. Sorry for the blinding white. They don't have a dark mode. It's a local news source. I'm in Nebraska, and one of these Nebraska companies decided to jump on this 11 company suit against Donald Trump. We have Nebraska board game company sues Trump administration over tariffs. A Nebraska board game company is part of a lawsuit taking on the United States, the Trump administration, two federal agencies, and President Donald Trump's tariffs. In the complaint, Spellcraft Games LLC said that in April, the company paid more than $4,300 in tariffs because the games were imported from China. The complaint called the tariffs unconstitutional. Spycraft is just one of 11 small businesses from multiple states listed on the plaintiffs on the lawsuit. The complaint alleges that President Trump's tariffs exceed the authority granted by the International Emergencies Economic Powers Act, saying the IEEPA does not grant the president the power to impose tariffs and that he is in violation of the U.S. Constitution. The complaint alleges that tariffs are unlawful. Alex Wolf of Spycraft's owner said in the statement, in part, by joining this lawsuit, I am fighting not only for my own right to pursue happiness without unconstitutional government interference, but for the right of all Americans. Wolf said he had been hit with tens of thousands in tariffs on the board game that was designed by the Omahans. The game, Crustaceous Rails, is imported from China, he said, and another shipment of the game has been hit with a new surprise tax. The complaint asked the court to deem the tariffs unlawful, authorize a refund to the plaintiffs, and issue an injunction to prevent the defendants from implementing the tariffs. Honestly, I have two thoughts about this. I am not a big fan of taxes. America was founded over tariffs. 3% had people throwing tea in the Boston Harbor and really sticking it to the man. And, I'm of that sentiment that tariffs and taxes are a little bit out of control here in America. On the other hand, if your business gets smacked around by the fact that some tariffs are laid on another country, kind of sucks to suck, Instead of making your goods here in America and benefiting your economy here in America, your everyday American, in your own community, you are instead manufacturing a good in China for cheaper and then crying about the fact that you're having to pay more money to manufacture a good extremely cheaper when that money that is spent on your good and purchased by your everyday American doesn't even stay in America. Instead, you're now sending all of that money over to China. So, middle finger to you, Sucks to suck. I ran a business during COVID. I manufactured clothing. I could have chose to manufacture clothing over in China and spent $2 to make t-shirts. Instead, I chose to choose a company that was just down the street from me, pay $5 for some t-shirts, but all of that money stays in my local economy. I would not have been affected by tariffs. So, you pick and you choose. Instead of benefiting your local economy, you got screwed over by some tariffs because you wanted to be cheap. You wanted to benefit no one in your local economy. You're not employing anyone in your local economy. You're not helping anyone in your local economy. Instead, you're just chasing money. And guess what? the tariffs kind of hit a little hard because all you cared about was chasing some money. And instead, you could have manufactured those goods here in America for a little bit more, charged a little bit more for your good, but all of that money stays at home. And no one is impacted but your local economy. Instead, you chose to be impacted by tariffs because you chose to be a cheapskate. And that's my 2 thoughts on it. Can't whine about tariffs and claim you're an American company if you don't manufacture your goods here in America. All right. Well, thanks for letting me rant. Let's hop over to some gold. I got that chart pulled up, and we did see a bit of a cool down on gold after we saw that all-time high of $3,500. Got that nice pullback to the 236 on our fib extension. Got that nice bounce up towards our golden pocket. Saw a bit of a cool down to the 0.5 on our fib extension, got that push back up towards our golden pocket and dropped all the way back down to the 236, looking to try to hold that 236 as some support here as the week starts off. Waiting to see this money flow kind of get that curvature back towards the upside. Right now it is looking quite red here, and oh BC, think about your blood pressure, man. Yeah, well, I try not to get too angry, but a lot of that stuff pisses me off. There's a lot of less than scrupulous business practices here in the US, and now you're seeing a lot of these people whining and complaining about some Chinese tariffs. How are you going to complain about tariffs on China and then say you're an American company? Sounds like you're not an American company and you're a Chinese company if Chinese tariffs are overly impacting you. You're importing your whole game. You might have to import a few things from China, like your raw materials, which would increase your goods slightly, but nothing to the point where you're paying $5,000 in tariffs in a month would kind of lead me to believe that you're an American company. You're manufacturing your entire product in China, bringing it over here, and you paid way less. Sorry you didn't prepare yourself with all that cheap goods you were building and kind of set yourself up in case anything ever happened. This isn't the first time we've seen these things happen. We've seen tariffs levied on other countries that make it harder to manufacture your good, and if you don't take the fat times to prepare for the lean times, go screw yourself. You already screwed over all these people in your local economy anyway. That's someone in my state that is like whining about tariffs and the fact that they had to pay $5,000 worth of tariffs. You didn't help anyone in your local economy produce those goods here. You might have paid some sales tax, but other than that, you've benefited your local economy zero. Go screw yourself. Sorry. A lot of time in business, the good wholesale community driven decisions are not the most profitable decision due to the system, but now the system is changing and will help community minded peeps. Yes, and that's my point there. I've done that. I ran the business. I paid people here more money instead of paying someone in China less money to produce the same good. But at the end of the day, if you are making goods in your own community and someone spends $1 with you, 70% of that dollar stays in your local community. If you go to let's say Walmart and you buy one of their Chinese goods, 60% of that dollar leaves your local economy and benefits absolutely no one there. I would much rather benefit my local economy and the people I live with than benefit some no-name in China, which I saw a video last week of people in China who are now getting smacked around by the tariffs, making their goods a little bit harder. But what they talked about was the fact that they spent the past 20 years building themselves up. And now, yes, the tariffs are impacting them a little bit, but not as much because they prepared for this. They knew it wasn't going to be like this forever. And they planned ahead. But instead, you have companies in America that manufactured cheap goods, made a bunch of money off of it, but didn't even plan ahead. They just assumed this is how it's always going to be. We're always going to be able to manufacture a cheap good, overcharge the American consumer for it, and at the end of the day, not prepare for the fact that, hey, it might not always be like this. We might get hit with some tariffs. We might have a president that wants to reconstruct the way that the American economy works, but they didn't plan for that. And now they're whining about the fact that in their fat times, they didn't prepare for their lean times. Sucks to suck, man. A lot of people prepare for that, and that should be no different for them. And if you're whining about the fact that a tariff on a whole nother country makes it hard for you to manufacture your good in that country, sucks to suck. Maybe you shouldn't be a company at all. Maybe you should rejigger your practices and try to benefit your American consumer and your local economy. But that is what it is. I was importing a lot as well when I owned Extreme Garage, way cheaper, but I decided to buy US and paid 30% more. But that allowed me to control my distribution way better. There we go, Crypto Billy. Yeah, there's not a problem with doing it in the beginning, but like once you get further into business, you kind of realize where it's like, okay, who am I going to benefit? Do I want to pay more to benefit more people in my local economy, have a little more control on this? It takes a long time to get your goods from China. It takes less time to pay a little bit more to benefit people in your local economy to manufacture that good for you. And it's also manufactured at much higher standards than someplace in China. So let's hop back into this gold chart. We are looking at this 236 to kind of be support all over again. If we do end up losing that, we've got some nice support down here before the zero line of our fib extension. Let's pull a horizontal ray from the highs over here. We've got let me make that a little bit lighter there. There we go. We're looking at $3,232. If we lose this 236 here, definitely a nice cool off for some gold, especially after this a massive move up to $3,500, an absolute all-time high on gold. Looking for a bit of a cool off, and then I'll redraw my fib extensions there. But after we see a nice strong support made here, some money flow kind of switching back after we saw this true 7 clip out here on the hourly, waiting for that slight bit of some continued sell-off before we get that strong push back towards the upside. I would look at that platinum pocket being that next real target, and that's that $3,404 mark. There's some nice resistance up at that range. We did see that golden pocket coming in and as some resistance before that. That's going to be about $3,360 that we'll have to contend with first. But my ultimate target would be that platinum pocket above there, especially with some of the data that we'll potentially be seeing this week. We did have a few alt requests, and I got about 10 minutes to dive on into those. If we got Velo was that other one, so we will go through Tau, Sweet, and Velo, and then we'll wind the show on down. I spent a little bit too much time ranting today, but these Chinese tariffs have me extra riled up, especially on the business side of things, as I've ran a business, and it's frustrating to see people kind of do less than dubious practices and then complain about it. So I will get Velo as well. Thank you, Crypto Billy, for that super chat. Let's see. He said, but let's not political policy change and divide us. That's what they want, division. We have too much in common to be grateful to have politicians divide us. Most definitely. I've got a sticker on my tablet that I look at daily, and it's APAC. And if you know, you know. It's all politicians are a C word. So there we go. Let's scroll sweet out to that daily, because we are seeing the potential for some cool off on the daily. We've got a very nice volume here on the daily as a push the wrong button there. Let me get a sweet pulled back up. There we go. You got that. Oh, it did not pull sweet back up. Let me get it pulled back. There we go. We got a potential for some cool off on the daily here. Prime oscillator just switched from green to red. You've got your MACD, which still has some room to run here. I do have a potential resistance area up at $4.25. That is sitting above our 382. We did get a nice little move off of our 50% line on our fib retracement here. So looking to see if we can continue up a little bit more, really push this overextension a bit higher, because I don't know about you, but this is classic overextension to me. You have solid movements, a little bit of consolidation, a solid movement to the upside, a little bit of some slowdown here. We're bumping up against that $3.80 all over again, which was resistance before we drop back down to the 50% line. But looking like this prime oscillator is getting that curvature back to the upside, and MACD's getting it as well on the 4-hour. If we're going to push up, this is the day to do it. We do have this hourly also looking like it's got some room to continue running here, but might need to see a little bit of some cool off on the short-term time frame. You've got a reversal signal. Your prime oscillator getting some light curvature. True 7 sitting green here, as your volume is not increasing as much as we saw on Bitcoin here on the hourly. You do have your MACD line sitting very positively towards the upside of that indicator line, as we're printing some massive green candles here. But we did bump up against that 380, which was our resistance before. Looking at that 15-minute, we do see that cool off potentially heading this way, looking for us to maybe make some support at that $3.64, which was the highs before, and then continue that push to the upside. That'd be a nice little cool off here on the 15-minute before we continue to see that strong move towards the upside there. Let's hop over to Tau. That was talked about this morning as well, and I saw it was doing quite well as well. Tau's got a nice strong move towards the upside, faltered a little bit short of our 50% line that we had talked about last week, but it is looking to come back and test some of the highs of this range. We did talk about $3.54 at 354 being an area where we could potentially see some bouncing off of. Came in at 345, so I was off by about $10 there, but we got that strong move towards the upside, looking to see a little bit of a cool down here on our short-term time frame. But our higher term time frames definitely have the potential to keep running here. Prime oscillator just switched from red to green. True 7 from red to green. Your volume has slowed down quite a bit here, but really looking to hold some support on some shorter term time frames at some lower levels. You have a 349.96, so about 350 being a point where we saw a lot of selling action coming in that I'd like to potentially see us turn into some support. Scroll that down to the 15-minute, and we're looking at that cool off already heading our way, but your volume is maintaining quite nicely here. So if we do see that continued volume hold up, looking for a bounce on where we saw all of our selling pressure here to potentially continue back up towards that 50% line on our fib retracement. That's that $314 point. We do have some strong money flow, which has been coming in on Tau. would look to kind of hold some of those lower levels down here before we really get that strong push back up, especially if Bitcoin gets that upward momentum today. And we had Velo requested. Let's hop into that and then wind the show on down, because we've all got to get over to that morning motivational video starting at 5:30 my time, 6:30 Eastern. So let's scroll it on down. I'm pretty sure it's there. Nope, Velo. I guess I don't have it there. Let's VELO. All right, let's take a look at it on Coinbase. I guess that'll be one of the better ones to take a look at it on. You have VWAP sitting below us here on that 15-minute. Nice little point to kind of see some bouncing from. Let's take a look at this 4-hour. We are in a decent little uptrend here, looking like we've potentially made another higher low. Let's get a fib pulled. Might have to go to a higher time frame, because we've kind of dropped below the zero lines of all of this move. Looking like you could potentially pull from high to lows here and then see if we maintain and get up to that 236. We do have a bit of a zone up towards the top side if we can continue to see money flow coming on in here. We've got overwhelmingly positive money flow here on the 4-hour, just starting to kind of increase and getting that curve back up. Your prime oscillator has cooled off quite a bit here. Got that bearish divergence that played out with not much of a move towards the downside there. Made a higher low. Prime oscillator got that curvature back up, sitting in light red right now as we wait on more money flow, which looks like coming in right now. We do have your MACD also getting that same curvature as this really cooled. This dip right here really cooled off both your MACD and your prime oscillator. Let's zoom that on in, take a look at the hourly, see what the day is bringing our way. We're sitting right over VWAP here, looking for some slight cool off. Probably see that bounce on VWAP and then get that strong push towards the upside. We do have a bit of a resistance area at about 6 cents that I'd potentially look for. Let's get that horizontal rate drawn out. Comes in from all of the Wiccan action here. Let's get it drawn out with the nice touch. There we go. 06214 would be that next real resistance area I would kind of look for on Velo. It's got some potential for some continuation after a bit of some cool off here on the 15-minute. You do have VWAP sitting right below us. Your money flow is still sitting green here. So seeing that red candle here coming on in for the 15-minute. Your MACD getting that curvature towards the downside as it just broke below our indicator line. Prime oscillator looking red, curving to the downside. Your volumes amazing here on this 15-minute, and your money flow just went to the green and curving up with some strength. So looking for that bit of probably a VWAP smack here on that 15 minutes, as that would lead that True 7 to really clip out and all that money flow to really switch things back towards the upside. You have a little bit of resistance right above us as well at about 5.5 cents. So that'd be that other area I'd kind of watch for on Velo. All right, I see Jay Violet and Kate Diggity in the chat in here. Good morning to both of you. I see Donato Cabrera as well. I appreciate all of you for showing up and participating in the chat. You missed my rant, but I appreciate you. You scroll in the chat and you can kind of see Crypto Billy jumped in on that rant there. But hope you all have a great Monday. I will see you at the rest of the shows here on the Piper Academy. We got that morning market report with Piper and OC. We got trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern. We got markets after dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto at 11 p.m. If you didn't go see the last one, we got a bit of time after the morning motivational video and before Alex O Crypto starts to go back and watch it if you missed it. So I appreciate every single one of you for showing up, participating in the chat. I appreciate you lurkers lurking in the background, getting that info, and sticking around while I ranted on everyone. I do have that redirect all set up, so I'll see you over in the Crypto Billy morning motivational mindset video here in just a second. Jesse also dropped the link to that in the chat. Other than that, make sure to wake up. It's going to be a volatile week, and we need to be prepared for it. But it's going to be a good day, if a volatile one. So I'll see y'all over at that morning motivational video in just a second.